Kevin Borba of Locked On Buffs. Deion Sanders has revitalized the economy in a city, has revitalized university, its admissions, and the Big 12 was all over ESPN, all over Fox over the course of the last 2 years because of Deion Sanders. He has become, his son, Travis Hunter, the moneymaker, the face, the figurehead, the idol of the Big 12 conference. He might even be, people are like, no, he might be a Mount Rushmore guy of this league because he has been the most relevant piece of this conference despite not winning a championship in this league or a bowl game in this league. Take that and throw it out the window. The dude is a cultural icon and exists in the Big 12. A, is that the case? B, if so, is it a good thing?
I think it can be the case, right? I think the answer is like a tentative yes or like a penciled in yes, right? I think a lot of people are going to be upset with us because they think we're talking Mount Rushmore of importance. It's not Mount Rushmore of success. It's not Mount Rushmore of like he's the best to ever do it in terms of like on-field product, right? He's 9-4 in his one season in the Big 12, right? So there's still room for growth. But I think in terms of all the other points you made, right, I don't think people really understand his impact. And so I'll talk about it. He signed a 5-year, $54 million contract extension with Colorado. The first time they hired him, they didn't even have the money to pay him. They were like, he's going to make it back for us. Now, Colorado's home football games have an economic impact of $94 million, and student applications have increased 20%. So he has changed the trajectory of Colorado from, I'll give you guys an example. I worked at the Pac-12 networks after I graduated college. I was a production assistant, which means I cut up highlights, right? Shout out to Pac-12, may you rest in peace. Back in the glory days, you know. But your team did not want to be playing on the Pac-12 networks, unfortunately. It meant you were not picked up by a larger ESPN, Fox, whatever it is. Colorado was there every week, right? Colorado was a Pac-12 staple because they were 1-11. They were terrible. They lost by an average of 30 points. Deion Sanders comes in, revitalizes the culture, revitalizes the energy, and I think by osmosis, the Big 12 is benefiting, right? There was a report or a ranking, if you will, the TV rankings of all the most viewed games. And Colorado, I think, had majority of the Big 12 games. And there was only, I think, 1 or 2 other games that didn't feature Colorado that were on that list. So Colorado, in a way, is keeping the Big 12, I don't want to say relevant, but it's definitely giving them a face of the conference that they need in an era where the SEC and Big 10 are putting their you-know-whats on the table and sort of trying to ruin the sport, right? Colorado is keeping the Big 12 in this thing, and I don't think people around the conference have to like Deion Sanders. You don't have to like how he runs his program. You don't have to like his social media or whatever, but you have to at least acknowledge that him being popular is good for the conference and good for the other schools because it could help Colorado secure the Big 12 a media rights deal somewhere down the line, right? It could help them bring more eyes to their team and programs.
If you ask ESPN, this was done quite a while ago, but players that would be on the Mount Rushmore, or just Big 12 figures on the Mount Rushmore, Vince Young, Adrian Peterson, Robert Griffin III, Heisman winner, and then Ndamukong Suh. It's crazy that a defensive tackle would be on a Mount Rushmore of players. Patrick Mahomes wasn't a Mount Rushmore guy in the Big 12. He does a ton for Texas Tech now, and he should certainly be in the consideration of kind of the staple of the Big 12 conference. We hang a lot on him playing here. Then you look at, Bill Snyder was huge at Kansas State, but more people know Deion Sanders than they do Bill Snyder. And Gary Patterson was massive for TCU, and then they fired him. And RG3 won the Heisman, but Deion Sanders carries, again, cultural influence that goes way beyond that. When I think about people who have made the impact on, again, not just the university, but the entire conference as a whole, I'm just not sure if I can come up with another name that actually, like Barry Sanders didn't play in the Big 12. I can't figure out another guy that actually has impacted the league with the dollar signs that Brett Yormark has allowed Deion Sanders to do. I just think about Brett Yormark. So Brett Yormark is also probably one of those staples, but more people know the name Deion Sanders than Brett Yormark.
Yeah, I think the only other name I could think of would be Sir Big 12ington himself, the guy who pioneered the Big 12, right? You have to...
Me!
Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin.
Drake Toll, Sir Big 12ington. No, I think and again, people are going to hear select certain parts of this, but we're talking impact, cultural impact. I don't think you could probably even go college football. I don't know if Deion Sanders, if there's anyone in college football who has had more of a cultural impact because, listen, Colorado went from, again, terrible program, 1-11, no one cared, bottom of the sport, basement of the sport, to his first year, they had game day and what's the other one? Big Noon. Sorry, Fox. They had them there the same week, right? Big Noon practically had a residence in Boulder because they were there every single weekend, it felt like, right? That is so rare, right? I think Colorado is at a new apex that most programs in college football that aren't in the SEC could only dream of. And I think a lot of people view college football through an SEC lens because that's sort of what's shoved down our throats by the conglomerates that be. But those programs outside of Alabama, Texas, LSU, right? I think if you offered Deion Sanders popularity to every program in the country, they would love that, right? Would you agree with that, Drake?
No, I don't think anyone would turn it away. I mean, this is the modern era of college football.
And I think the profit that he brings for the program, the economy, his value goes far beyond just X's and O's, goes far beyond just like him wearing a whistle, right? It's cultural. It's like I have people in my family who don't watch football. They're from other countries. They're like, I've started watching football because of Deion Sanders, right? College football, that is, right? People who could not care less. He brings in a whole new demographic of fandom. And I think the part that upsets people is it's not a traditional power. He does it in untraditional ways. So people want to shoot that down. But I think in a college football era where everything is changing for what feels like not the best, I think a little positivity like this is great for the sport and for the Big 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure if there's ever been a player this high profile. There hasn't. That's become a successful head coach. You have like the Harbaugh name. There have been a few here and there who were good, but they weren't elite. They weren't what Deion Sanders was for the game. He could have just sat down and said, all right, I'm retired. I'm no more football. I'll be an analyst somewhere. You know, could have been the one guy who's on ESPN who hosts that show that I probably shouldn't say his name right now. Coming up, Shedeur Sanders is dropping. His draft stock is dropping. Is it really, though? And why? And people are stupid. This is a Locked On Big 12, Locked On Buffs crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Oh, I know you're wondering, is today's show brought to you by Fire TV and the Fire TV Stick? Yes. You know why? Because it's also an Xbox. Turn any TV into your gaming and entertainment console with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required, though. ESPN's College Football 25 or Call of Duty, they're all right there. Wi-Fi 6.6E and auto low latency mode and advanced technology. Fire TV Stick 4K delivers smoother, more responsive gameplay. With 4K streaming, watch over 1.5 million movies and TV shows. Netflix, Prime Video, Disney Plus. It's all right there. Play high-quality Xbox games at a fraction of the cost with a Fire TV Stick 4K. Hosts across our network are eating it up because they're playing their College Football 25 on their Fire TV Stick. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV Locked On to get started. Xbox Game Pass Ultimate Subscription incompatible controller required. Available on select devices including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd generation, and Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. That is Amazon Fire TV Stick.